Welcome back to Attack on Cowboys, and today we have an injury update on Dallas Cowboys cornerback Trevon Diggs, and the front office, they moving a little bit weird, and it's not exactly matching up with what's being said through the head coach, Brian Schottenheimer, and we about to just keep it real on why things are just so weird surrounding Trevon Diggs and why it seems like the organization is kind of lukewarm with the guy. Let's get right into it and be sure to subscribe for more Dallas Cowboys content. All right, so you can see here, Brandon Laurie writes that Trevon Diggs is taking another step in his recovery, and this is via Dr. Reef on IG. He says, quote, "In this phase, we are starting to reintroduce light functional athletic and positional football movements while still keeping impact low to protect healing while promoting more bone growth." Okay, so that's just kind of a quick medical update on where Trevon Diggs is, but the organization also spoke about Trevon Diggs as well, and I want to kind of get into this because we're going to listen to what head coach Brian Schottenheimer had to say about Trevon Diggs and take a look at some of the things that he said concerning him. And then we're going to look at what the front office is subsequently doing, apparently behind closed doors or preparing to do, and how it isn't making sense. And we're about to start making sense of this, and we got to keep it real. And I'm going to have to just give y'all a sip of reality right here, y'all.
The amazing AOC, watch us rise for the love of the strife, for the blue in the sky, from a dream to a movement, now we can't be stopped. Cowboys forever.
And this is on Trevon Diggs and whether or not the team has been kind of talking to him and been in communication and stuff.
Yeah, it's going good. Talked to Trevon last week. He's down in Miami doing some training, and no timeline for the return, but he had to come back a couple weeks ago to get checked out by the doc, and all signs are positive.
Okay, so I want y'all to pay attention to a couple of things here. There was some information unveiled here. It seems like Trevon Diggs is only appearing at the start when he absolutely has to be there. Like, it seems like the only time they've seen him so far this offseason, he said a couple weeks ago, it seems like the only time they've seen him so far this offseason is when he had his mandatory medical checkups, right? Where the team is essentially like, hey, you're under contract. We need to see what's going on with your body. Be up here. That's the first thing. Secondly, Trevon Diggs is away from the team. Brian Schottenheimer said he's in Miami, right? Very interesting. For one, I hope you ain't in Miami with Steph, because we know what Steph was just doing before he flew his ass back to Foxborough. So I hope you wasn't out there with your big brother. I hope you wasn't out there with big brother. And while the team is aware of where he is and what he's doing, that doesn't necessarily mean that they have signed off on this. And why do we know they haven't signed off on the approach that Diggs is necessarily taking to his rehab? Is because he's getting threatened to get money taken away to the tune of $500,000 taken out of his contract, a contract which, by the way, doesn't have much guaranteed money left on it at all. So any little bit of coin that's getting taken out of his contract at this point, it matters, right? So Clarence Hill Jr. is reporting that he said this: "Do y'all really think Cowboys cornerback Trevon Diggs is in danger of forfeiting $500K in base pay for missing offseason program while injured and rehabbing, given his widely known issues with training staff? Are the Cowboys considering doing that? Yes, per source." So apparently, and this is not just Clarence Hill, Todd Archer of ESPN also wrote an entire article about this around the same time Clarence Hill started discussing this as well. So that lets me know that the front office, they kind of put out a memo like, hey, we're going to actually do it. And they probably let some of the foot soldiers know, hey, yeah, we're actually thinking about doing this if Diggs isn't readily available like he should be for offseason programming. And they sent that message out through the media. This right here, when you see Clarence Hill report this, and then you see Todd Archer literally write an article about this very same thing 20 minutes before Clarence Hill posted what he said, right? This information came out at the same time. When you see something like that happens, it's for a reason, y'all. Now, what reason is that? Let's get real about what's going on with Trevon Diggs and why things are so weird, and why we're able to have conversations about a guy that was an all-pro, a guy that led the league in interception, a guy that showcased the ability of a top flight corner, even though he would give up some yardage. Who cares? Which corner doesn't, unless you're like a lockdown Revis Island type of dude, right? But he showcased the ability to be a top flight corner in today's NFL. Why would we all even be having discussions about him potentially not being a part of this Cowboys team anymore? It's because availability is your best ability. And Trevon Diggs has not been able to be available for his contract. And not only that, but this team is moving towards a more family-oriented, a more united front type of culture, right? It's becoming a much more close-knit culture to the point where you got the head coach going to the cafeteria workers and you know, the people that's on the lowest part of the proverbial totem pole. You got the head coach going to those people and letting them know, like, hey, you have an open line of communication with me. If anything is going wrong, if you need anything, he is going out of his way to create this culture where everybody is feeling included and is like, hey, you go talk to a neighbor and you talk to a neighbor and y'all talk to people that y'all normally don't talk to. And you got a head coach that's really building this type of culture right now. Let's get real, y'all. Let's get real. Trevon Diggs' biggest thing that he needs to do right now is he needs to repair relationships, because that's what this boils down to, right? Trevon Diggs needs to repair relationships at this point in time. That is what's wrong right now. He had issue with the training staff in the past based off of how he approached his rehab. Maybe he wasn't willing to maybe abide by what they wanted him to do as much. Maybe he trusted his guys more. But when you have a coaching staff that is trying to send a message that this entire team, we're about each other. We're a man for a man. We're a woman for a woman, a woman for a man. We're here for each other regardless of what your role is in this building, in this organization. Whether you're a janitor or a cook or a trainer or a assistant coach or a quality control assistant, whatever you are, you have value, and I want to make sure that you're giving your all towards making us be successful. Trevon Diggs needs to have his ass in that building. That's what this boils down to, is he's almost isolated himself. And what has happened is he was very close with his positional coach, and y'all wonder why Al Harris didn't come back. And it's because the Cowboys felt like Al Harris was unprofessional in some ways as it pertained to how he allowed himself to interact with his subordinates, essentially, because it's still a business structure. The NFL is a football team, but it's still a business structure. You're essentially still a manager hanging out with your employees on your shift when you're a positional coach, and you're creating this relationship to where it's no longer really coach and player. It's like homie and homie, brother and brother. It's not the type of relationship that demands the respect and where people can look at you and feel as if you're going to be objective in doing your job, right? Where people can look at you and feel like you're not going to pick favorites of who gets to play, who gets playing time, whether or not it's detrimental to the position group or not, right? There was a lot going on to where Trevon Diggs, and you can see a lot of this from the outside looking in. Some of this may come from being able to talk to people that's around the building more, right? But Trevon Diggs is almost, and this is me putting this together at this point of why this looks so weird, why this is going on. He's almost isolated himself. He's almost put himself on an island where Micah Parsons and CeeDee Lamb are the only guys that's selling to that island, right? Micah Parsons and CeeDee Lamb are the only guys that are really extending themselves to make themselves a part of Trevon Diggs' island, right? And that's not going to fly here. And he's rubbed someone the wrong way. I don't know who. I don't know why. I don't know if it's justified for the person to feel as if he rubbed them the wrong way. But he has rubbed somebody in authority the wrong way to where this franchise is no longer sold on the idea of having Trevon Diggs be a lifetime Cowboy. I don't think that anybody in this front office is looking at Trevon Diggs as that type of player for this franchise anymore. And that's why things are getting a little bit weird. And to be quite frank, if you really want to break it down, that's why they really were able to get the kind of contract they got with him, is because they were not sold on Diggs. They made it to where he wasn't going to have any guaranteed money left on the last couple of years of his deal, to where it would be a minimal impact to the franchise if they were to try to move on from Diggs, right? So he kind of set himself up for this with how his contract was set up as well. But at the same time, his lack of availability and his lack of ability to be personable with everyone and be someone that I guess franchise is really able to look to and put all their eggs in that basket. Now, of course, Trevon Diggs helps this team. If he's able to come back and he's healthy, Trevon Diggs absolutely helps this team. Trevon Diggs, if he's able to come back, and I can't stress enough, and this ain't nothing to do with Diggs, but man, his will may be strong, but the human body is fragile, y'all. And the type of injuries he's accumulating at that position he's playing, there's really no precedent been set for guys being able to come back and be who they once were with the type of injuries now that he's had to those knees, bro. There's no precedent that's been set to let us know that Trevon Diggs, or make us feel as if Trevon Diggs is going to come back and be Diggs. That's why we're now having to have very real conversations, and you're hearing just very vanilla, basic stuff. That may have been the most vanilla and basic answer Brian Schottenheimer's ever given on any topic. All signs are positive. That's all he could say about Trevon Diggs, because Trevon hasn't been around. And that's what I'm saying. He needs to repair relationships. If he wants to be a Cowboy, relationships need to be repaired. And he has to open himself up to doing things the way the organization wants people to do. And that's because those are the people that's signing your check. And you've rubbed someone the wrong way, because otherwise you would be getting protected much more by the team than what you are. Because I haven't heard any of these guys, Steven, any of these guys come out and overtly talk about how much of a positive impact on this franchise you are, how much they need you back, and how much Diggs is important. Not this time around. Not maybe the first time. The first time everybody felt it. Everybody was like, damn. But not this time around. Now the organization is like, we need to make a business decision. We like Diggs, and if he can be healthy and if he can be him, then he's a good asset. But at this point, we're kind of starting to get to a risk-reward type of area. And is the risk outweighing the reward in the eyes of the franchise? It's not my opinion. This is just based off what we're seeing, bro. Because for Shotty to say he's in Miami, but the team also be threatening to yeah, we will fine you if you're not actually here. For that to even come out, to this be a discussion, right? Because it shouldn't be. If they've really been in communication with Diggs and they know where his mind is, it shouldn't even be a discussion. Oh, he's going to be here. We expect him to be here. We're not worried about that. No, we're not worried. We don't anticipate having to do anything like that. He's going to be here. But that's not what was said. It was, yeah, we're considering doing it. Yeah, this is going to happen if he's not here the way we need him to be. And that lets you know that there's not communication. And that is why, if there's no communication rules all relationships. If there's no communication, we cannot sit here with silver and blue tinted glasses on and act like everything is okay. Because right now, I think that Diggs needs to repair relationships. Is he in a situation where he's in no man's lane, he can't come back from it? Absolutely not. I don't believe that. I believe he can come back from it. But is he in a situation where, hey man, the organization is positioning themselves. They're isolating you in the media. You're isolating yourself. Jerry has come out and publicly criticized your rehab. When have we ever heard this franchise criticize a way a guy is rehabbing? We haven't heard that before. We have not heard Jerry come out and question a way the guy approached his rehab. That's nuts. That's nuts. So, especially with a star player like this. So, that is just the facts. That's reality. And that's what we're looking at with Trevon Diggs. And I hope that he can come back. I wish him a speedy recovery. I hope that he can get healthy for himself and for the Dallas Cowboys, but mainly for himself. And hopefully everything turns out buttercups and rainbows like y'all want it to. But reality says the will may be strong, but the human body is fragile. And there's a lot of damage that needs to be repaired, not only with Trevon Diggs physiologically, but with his relationships on a personal level, on an interpersonal level within that building and that organization, because it's very clear Shotty has full buy-in. The people that are in that building, full buy-in, and he wants everyone to be a part of what's going on. And I don't think that this is going to be the type of Cowboys environment where your star power dictates the interactions. I don't think that's how this environment is going to flow, y'all. And we'll see. We'll see. And outside of that, unless we get some major news, we're not really going to discuss Diggs anymore for the remainder of the offseason until we start seeing them on the field, these mandatories, and we can kind of look at them from a football perspective. But as far as anything else, we're going to let the dude recover. This pretty much lets us know, this puts the cherry on top and really lets us know how the organization is looking at Diggs right now and what they're prepared to do with a Trevon Diggs. They're essentially trying to get money back from the dude. They're trying to get money back from the dude, and that should let us know everything that we need to know about what the organization is really thinking about Trevon Diggs right now. Otherwise, you don't ruffle feathers. Either way, appreciate you guys tuning in. Be sure to subscribe for more Dallas Cowboys content, and how about
calling me, texting me, paging me, asking me, am I still in ball? Y'all usually check on me. Listen. I'm still in boys. Woo, hey!